Welcome back. So, a lot of us talk about being the architect of our own lives, right? But what happens next? In this explainer, we're diving into the ultimate stage of that journey, the profound shift from just building an architecture to actually becoming it.
Okay, this quote really gets to the heart of it. This is the final pivot. Think about it. It's that moment when you stop consciously practicing new habits and you just start, well, unconsciously being the person who embodies them. It's that transition from constant effort to a new, natural state of being.
So first up, we're going to explore this ultimate goal. We're talking about a state where the separation between you and your practices just completely dissolves. Alignment isn't something you're shooting for anymore, it's just your default reality.
We've talked a lot about this evolution, from being a passive user of your life, just kind of accepting the default settings, to becoming an active architect who can actually get in there and redesign the system. But it turns out there's one more stage, and that's integration. That's when the architecture isn't something you do anymore, it's simply who you are.
And yeah, this idea of embodiment is the absolute key. Think of it as reaching a state of unconscious competence. A boundary isn't something you have to remember to set from a checklist, it just happens, naturally. You're no longer trying to be aligned, you just are. It becomes your new default operating system.
So, what if we could actually map this journey out? What if mastery wasn't just this vague feeling, but something we could express with, believe it or not, a formula? Let's decode the mathematics of becoming. This is what's so fascinating. This source material presents mastery not as some fuzzy, distant goal, but as a compounding mathematical principle. And the argument is that if we can understand the formula, we can really understand the deep structure of our own growth. And here it is. Now, the key takeaway here is not addition, it's multiplication. Growth isn't about just stacking new skills on top of each other like building blocks. No, it's about how every new transformation you complete exponentially amplifies the power of everything you've already become.
This really illustrates two profound truths. First, your growth is exponential, not a straight linear path. And second, true mastery isn't a final destination you arrive at. It's a process of infinite deepening. There is no final level. This whole mathematical idea of an infinite limit, well, it leads us straight into a pretty profound philosophical shift, viewing your life not as a finite game that you need to win, but as an infinite game where the real goal is just to keep playing. Just look at this comparison. In a finite game, like chess or football, the goal is to win, and then the game ends. But the infinite game of mastery, it's played for the sole purpose of continuing the play. The motivation isn't a trophy, it's the growth that comes from the process itself. This example from the source is perfect. You see Marcus here, and he thinks he's reached the end multiple times. But each level of mastery just reveals a wider, more expansive field of play. What he thought was the destination was really just the trailhead for a much, much bigger journey. Okay, so if the game is infinite, what's the point? Well, the point is that your personal transformation isn't just for you. It's about how your new state of being ripples outward, affecting everyone and everything you touch. This is such a powerful idea. You don't transform a group by giving them a lecture or sending out an instruction manual. Your own integrated, coherent state creates a field. It's like a tuning fork causing nearby strings to start vibrating at the same frequency. Change spreads through resonance. And here's how it works in practice. Picture a chaotic team meeting. Your calm response models a totally different possibility. Your embodied presence makes it feel safe for others to speak truthfully. This is how one person's inner work can actually start to seed transformation in an entire group. And this leads to a fundamental shift in focus. Mature mastery is no longer about tracking your personal wins and losses. The primary question becomes one of service. How is my presence right now contributing to the wholeness of the community around me? This brings us to the final, beautiful synthesis of this entire journey, where all these pieces come together in one really profound realization. Let's just sit with that for a second. The final shift is realizing the system isn't some external thing you have to invent or build from scratch. The system is the life that is already flowing through you. The work is simply to read it accurately and design from within it. This visual perfectly captures that change. The observer, the architect, they were once behind the glass, looking at a framework. But now, the embodied master is inside the architecture. They're no longer just using a tool.
They are a living, arranging presence within the system itself.
Ultimately, you are not separate from the process. You can't build integration without becoming integrated. You can't develop mastery without becoming masterful. You are literally becoming the very architecture you set out to build. So, the journey never truly ends. It only deepens infinitely. Every level of mastery reveals more beauty, more complexity, and more possibility than the one before. The infinite game awaits. The only question left is, what will you become in the process?